Now that you are inspired to see like an artist, let's take that a step further. Developing creativity is about paying attention and noticing. It's all about curiosity. Curiosity is the recognition and desire to seek out new knowledge and information, and the subsequent joy of learning and growing. Creative people are insatiably curious. We have creative encounters every day, but how often do we consciously notice and really pay close attention? I challenge you to do just that, to consciously practice your noticing skills and use your art journal to keep track of your insights, to practice looking at the world with an artist's kind of attentiveness coupled with innocence, wonder, and awe. Writers and comedians pay attention to conversations overheard, patterns in the unfolding of everyday life. Chefs pay attention to fragrances, spices, ingredients. Visual artists pay attention to light and shadow and try to give their preconceived notions and filters a rest. So instead of thinking tree, an artist notices gradations of light and shadow, the shapes between branches, contrasting colors of leaves and sky. This is all about being an explorer, an acute observer of the world around you. As we have learned, if you want something to grow in your life, you give it your attention and intentions. You want to cultivate your creativity, so cultivate it by looking at the world in this enhanced way. There is a significant side benefit to developing your noticing skills. When you cultivate your curiosity in this way, you feel more alive because you are seizing opportunities to be amazed, surprised, and enchanted every day. Let me also point out that life is not all perfection and light. Inspiration can come from not only beauty, but also from the wounds and the ugliness of life. Through this practice, I challenge you to not only see the world with fresh perspective, but also create significant moments every day through your curiosity, attention, and noticing. What happens when you give something or someone your attention? You bring your vitality and energy to it. Susan Sontag said that when you pay attention, it makes you eager to connect. Creativity can be cultivated by developing a heightened, more enchanted way of being and seeing the world. There are moments in life where you move past logic and those things that you experience with your five senses into experiences that you sense within your heart and from the eyes of your soul. These higher states of being are not easy to put in words. It's these kinds of experiences that call to the creative in each of us because they are often beyond typical words. There is a difference between looking and seeing, a difference between sight and vision. I recently read in a Daily Ohm article that sight gives you the ability to see the physical world and enjoy its colors and shapes. Sight allows you to see what's coming toward you and exactly where you're standing. You could read signs and books. You can understand how another person is feeling by the expression on his or her face. But vision gives you the gift of seeing beyond the physical world. When I teach meditation, I tell my students to sit with their eyes closed because we automatically become more in touch with our inner world when we are not distracted by the outer world. Vision comes from our inner guidance and helps us navigate thought, feeling, emotion, and imagination. I was inspired by the book, The Art of Noticing by Rob Walker, and I recommend it. Paying close attention to things can help you develop your creativity, whether you are a visual artist or doing any kind of creative work. Rob Walker talks about giving his students assignments on paying attention and how being a first-class noticer can reveal all kinds of creative inspiration and help you experience what he calls enchanting reality. Across all disciplines, you can find examples of the benefits of developing your noticing skills. Scientists, comics, writers, entrepreneurs, business leaders, photographers, coaches, he says, can find all kinds of hidden gems paying attention to things that other people overlook, ignore, or miss. Maybe a biologist pays attention to what happens to plant life when they're exposed to pesticides, and then goes on to define new ways of protecting our planet. A doctor pays attention to a subtle symptom, and that might lead to a brilliant diagnosis. Or a business person pays attention to an undervalued company, which would be a great investment opportunity. A writer or a comic observes life or the written word with a keen eye for the absurd. This is why innovative companies help associates develop their creative noticing skills. Paying attention helps cultivate original perspectives. One reason it might seem harder to focus and pay attention these days is because we have a lot of distractions in life. According to a survey conducted in early 2022, most Americans spend about 3 hours a day on our phones. One researcher calls this polyconsciousness. It's a state of mind that divides attention between the physical world and our devices. Tim Wu says that over the coming century, the most vital resource in need of conservation and protection is likely to be our own consciousness and mental space. Taking the time to pause and pay attention has never been so important. We all have this skill. As humans, we have choice, and we can overcome our inclinations. I think this is why there has been such a corresponding increased interest in quieting our minds in meditation. We know we are distracted, and that we can choose to direct our attention where we wish. So I will repeat what I said at the beginning of this module. If you want something to grow in your life, give it your attention and intention, and choose what you want to amplify. When you become better at noticing, you develop your creativity, and you also rediscover your sense of wonder. Todd Kashdan, a professor of psychology at George Mason University, refers to curiosity as joyous exploration. This requires you to stay open and unstuck as you are observing. It's a fluid state of open-heartedness. You will be finding artistry in the particularity of things, beautiful things and awful things. It's about observing with curiosity and finding the whole human experience fascinating. Flower petals, conversations, the wind, the despair of refugees in a war-torn country, shapes, scents, what it felt like to be bullied, sounds, how it feels when a long-term relationship ends, what it feels like when your child gets married, what it feels like to fall in love, how it feels when a loved one dies. You can look at the world of some of the masters and understand how they elevate a sense of soul or aliveness to the biggest and the most mundane things. Vincent van Gogh said, "It's good to love many things, for therein lies true strength, and whosoever loves much performs much and can accomplish much." When we love much, there is unending inspiration for creativity. Georgia O'Keeffe was an incredible noticer of details of whatever she painted. In the book, An American Place, she wrote about her flower paintings. She said, "Nobody sees a flower, really. It is so small. We haven't time. And to see takes time, like to have a friend takes time." Her close-ups of flowers on oversized canvases take my breath away. She wrote, "I'll paint it big, and they will be surprised into taking time to look at it. I will even make busy New Yorkers take time to see what I see of flowers." The author Henry Miller said, "The moment one gives close attention to anything, even a blade of grass, it becomes a mysterious, awesome, indescribably magnificent world in itself." William Blake taught us in his poem Auguries of Innocence to see glory in the everyday. To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. So the idea here is to look at something familiar with a new sense of observation. The creative process often feels like novel ideas coming from familiar things. It takes awareness, observation, and taking mental notes to master it. So I'm going to give you some inspiration for assignments for this segment of class. In your workbook, you will find a host of potential assignments. Choose one and faithfully journal your findings. After you finish one, browse and find another one that piques your curiosity, and do that one, and catalog your findings in your journal. Now, some of these were inspired by Creative Confidence by Tom Kelly and David Kelly of IDEO. Some are inspired by Rob Walker. Some are inspired by the book Deep Creativity. And where I've used others, I've included those references as well. So go to your workbook and choose one now. I'll highlight just a few of these activities. You might go on a scavenger hunt and seek out something particular. For example, a single object scavenger hunt. Maybe you will find newness in something very familiar. Go on a color walk. Create an empathy map, practicing your noticing skills, finding numbers, or paying homage to light or clouds or hummingbirds. I'm really excited to hear what projects you will work on and see what you learn when you hone your curiosity and noticing skills. So the challenge is to pick a project and start noticing, or get inspired and make up your own. The point of the noticing exercise is to become obsessed and transform yourself into a first-class noticer. Use your art journal to catalog your inspirations and be prepared to share them. All the things that truly matter, beauty, love, creativity, joy, and inner peace, arise from beyond the mind, says Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now. I look forward to seeing your inspirations.